Human beings have always been fascinated by that mysterious dark space outside Earth. The beginning of the colonization of space may be dated to 1957, when a first historic step took place that would mean the beginning of the space race.
In the late 1950s, 1957, the Soviet Union put an artificial satellite on top of one of their nuclear missiles, their ICBMs, and that was Sputnik, later called Sputnik 1.
Just 4 years later, in 1961, Yuri Gagarin became the first human to journey into outer space and to complete an orbital flight.
Technological progression continued so that the rockets got bigger and bigger. They were finally able to do the first moon landing on July 20th, 1969.
Neil Armstrong reached that unbelievable milestone. He was the first human ever to walk on the lunar surface. Just 2 years later, an important new step occurred in the conquest of space. In 1971, the Soviet Union launched Salyut-1, the first manned space station to orbit the Earth. It didn't take long for the United States to launch its own space station, Skylab, which orbited Earth from 1973 to 1979. The next step was the Mir space station. It was a modular space station run by the Soviet Union and later by Russia, which was assembled in orbit from 1986 to 1996. The mission ended in 2001 when it was finally deorbited. It was the first continuously inhabited long-term research space station in orbit ever. In fact, Mir could be considered a precursor to a space colony. 1998 was a key year in the adventure of space colonization. That year, the first component of the International Space Station was launched into orbit. This space station is a joint project among European, Canadian, Japanese, and Russian space agencies and NASA. It is the largest man-made object built in space to date. It has the size of a soccer field with 72 meters length and 108 meters width.
The International Space Station is a wonderful lab, and we can do a lot of science over there and even more. We can do inspiration to people. We can raise awareness of people by the reports of the astronauts.
Since 2000, astronauts, cosmonauts, and even space tourists from 17 different nations have continuously occupied it.
The beauty of the International Space Station is not only the research done on board, but it's especially the geopolitical aspect of the International Space Station.
All of these space stations might be considered the first steps toward future space colonization, as they have proved that we really are able to survive up there in cold, dark space. Human beings have always felt the impulse to explore and discover new frontiers. From Christopher Columbus, who crossed the ocean to discover America, to Amundsen, who traveled to the South and North Poles. There have always been intrepid explorers that dared to go one step forward to see new worlds. Now, our next frontier beyond the Earth is somewhere orbiting the Earth, or on the surfaces of the Moon, Mars, or even asteroids.
Human beings have always had the destiny of flight in their minds. And over the last 100 years, we've conquered it flying on Earth, and in the next 100 years, we'll conquer it in space.
In addition to the innate curiosity that leads human beings to always go one step further, There are other reasons to find new places to colonize beyond the Earth. The first of them is that we might really have the need, in case our own planet deteriorates so much that we can no longer live on it.
Probably most important reason why we should go into space is to safeguard our own existence. Because sooner or later, here on little planet Earth, we're going to meet an unhappy end.
People like Stephen Hawking, the well-known astrophysicist, and so many others have predicted that if we don't have human settlements in space, the future of humanity on Earth is in danger.
One of the biggest hazards that humanity might face would be the impact of a large asteroid.
We have the probability that a big asteroid might hit the Earth, like it was done in the past when the dinosaurs died out.
If an asteroid were 5 miles wide, it would cause major extinctions, like the one that may have marked the end of the age of dinosaurs. There is also the possibility of a massive man-made disaster that might obligate us to leave the Earth, as climate change or industry-linked disasters. Climate change is one of the biggest menaces we are facing nowadays. In a quite short period of time, it could cause a huge humanitarian disaster affecting millions of people. On another front, overpopulation is also threatening our civilization. As a future scenario of scarcity approaches in which there won't be enough resources for the Earth's population. In such situations, having an alternative place to live could be the only way for our civilizations to survive. But there is also a huge, powerful reason that encourages human beings to go beyond the Earth. Space colonization will bring us a new, huge industry created around new resources found off the Earth. Resources in space, both in materials and energy, are enormous. And we know that, sooner or later, we will run out of resources here on Earth as they are scarce and limited.
All the resources humans need on Earth are now in space. We have the science and the technology. We know we can capture them.
The solar system alone has, according to different estimates, enough material and energy to support anywhere from several thousand to over 1 billion times that of the current Earth-based human population.
For now, a tiny fraction of the asteroid belt is more than enough to supply a virtually unlimited material for space industrialization and space colonization.
Harnessing these resources could lead to much economic development.
At some point in the next 100 years, I expect the economy in orbit will be bigger than the economy on the ground. There's more space there. There's more material that's accessible. And there's no gravity. You can do more interesting industrial processes.
The fact that we are exploiting and using expendable resources on Earth, and those resources that are out there in space, makes the obvious conclusion we have to go.